My mind had been enabled. In the memory you overflow. I wanna be your superhero. Or even if I tumble fall, I'm okay. I need you wanna be your superhero. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Welcome to the Pepsi Free Race Show, sponsored by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Daytona International Speedway. This is Daytona Beach, Florida, the birthplace of speed and the perfect place to celebrate the birth of our country on this 4th of July holiday weekend. America's best drivers will go 400 miles around this track at close to 190 miles an hour. You'll see Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Jimmy Johnson in a dramatic high-speed chess match. Temperature in the 80s, humidity thick at 65%. We're located trackside, shadows behind us, sunlight beaming in. Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, thanks for being with us. Happy 1st of July.
Yeah.
All right, we're counting down to the big race. All right, nice to see you guys. Hey, only thing hotter than the weather is the drivers coming into this race.
Oh, definitely so, Chris. And you think about the fact that Jimmy Johnson's coming back here where he won the Daytona 500 in February. He's got, on a tremendous roll, leading the points. Jeff Gordon wins the race in Infineon. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. last night, he spanked the field.
I don't know. The racetrack itself is pretty dadgum hot. But let me tell you something. You know, the last two Daytona or two Firecracker 400s have been won from the pole.
That's
Jeff
right.
Gordon and Tony Stewart. And Jimmy Johnson comes in here as trying to be king of the restrictor plate. So there's a lot to keep your eyes on tonight.
More is said on the pole. Dale Earnhardt Jr., if he wants to win, has to come from 35th place from back of the pack. Last night in the Busch race, speaking of Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was outstanding, dominating, leading 88 of 103 laps for his 5th Busch Series win. He's standing by with Steve Burns.
Johnson wants the lead in 3. Jimmy Johnson's going to win the 48 Daytona 500. Unbelievable. We won the Daytona 500!
Jimmy Johnson won the Daytona 500, then he went on to win at Talladega with a victory today. He will tie the legendary Dale Earnhardt as the only drivers to win 3 straight restrictor plate races. The current points leader agreed to go 10 laps with me with no restrictions.
What's the funniest thing you've ever heard over the headset while you've been out on the track?
Somebody in the stands keying up a mic and talking trash to Jeff while I was on the track.
Is there an old-time or old-school driver, past or present, that you would have loved to have raced against?
Without a doubt, Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Jimmy, if you could pick where NASCAR puts the next racetrack anywhere, where would you choose? What city?
I would say New York City. And then after New York, I would go to the West Coast, the Northwest. And I think we need a track up there, if it would ever stop raining.
At the finish line, if you could beat out any other driver, who would it be?
You know, based on last year, I would have to say Tony Stewart. You know, I want to beat the best. I want to race against the best and beat the best.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you intimidate other drivers.
I'd say 6 or 7.
Your life is stressful.
10.
10?
Absolute
and,
10.
Jimmy Johnson is the best active driver without a championship.
Sure, I'll take that.
10? Okay, we'll give it 10. Fair enough.
He's the points leader. Kevin Harvick 10th in points. Darrell, we're 9 races away after tonight from the chase for the championship. Who's going to get left out?
Well, I think the race is obviously who's going to get in the top 10. And the question is, from 6th place on down with Jeff Burton, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, can they stay in the top 10? Or can these guys back here, Hamlin, Busch, Carl Edwards, and maybe Kurt Busch, and maybe Casey Kane, can they get in?
I think right now what you're looking at is can Carl Edwards charge up in there. I think he's the only guy back there that I think has got a lot of confidence. I got confidence he can get up in there.
Carl Edwards,
I think Denny Hamlin can do it.
Carl Edwards was a guy who was a kind of a chic pick at the beginning of the year to chase for the championship. So far has yet to win a race. He was 84 at the Pepsi 400. President Ronald Reagan gave the command. From Air Force One, Richard Petty won his 200th career race at that time. We'll talk with...
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great day to visit Daytona. I'm honored to be with all of you, and I bring greetings to you from the President. On Independence Day weekend, we're reminded how fortunate we are to live in freedom and to call this nation our home. We're grateful above all to the men and women who defend us. And I'd like to ask all the members of our military and all of our veterans here tonight to stand and be recognized. Now I want to say good luck to the drivers and the crews. Have a great race and a safe race. Thank you very much, and may God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate this 4th of July weekend, please rise and direct your attention to the United States flag on tonight's pre-race stage, and take the opportunity to remember and thank our military servicemen and women at home and overseas. Please remain standing as Bishop Derek Triplett from Hope Fellowship Church, Daytona Beach, delivers tonight's
Las Vegas, the Daytona 500 without his lead dog. I mean, Chad Knaus is out, Grubb is in, and they still get the victory lane. Jimmy puts his team on his shoulders the way I look at it, and he showed me he is really championship material.
Jimmy will start 9th at tonight's race as we welcome you back. Hope you're enjoying your holiday weekend. NASCAR on Fox Live from Daytona Beach, Florida. Throughout the broadcast, you'll be hearing from all the members of our Fox crew as we recall some of the special moments, the highlights from the season so far. Well, there's been racing here in Daytona since 1903, but as actually Dick Berggren, that was his first race he covered. But as Satchel Paige once said, we kid because we care. Don't look back. Someone might be gaining on you. NASCAR believes in that philosophy, and that's why Jeff Hammond, just below our Hollywood Hotel studio here, is showing off the car of the future. And Jeff, what's the biggest difference between the car of the future and the car of the current?
In 2007, one of the biggest differences you're going to notice in the car tomorrow has to be the splitter below the part of the headlight doors and the nose. What's the purpose for this? Is to make more downforce in the front of the car, hopefully to get rid of that dreaded aero push and to give the front tires more grip. But the other big difference has to be at the back of this race car. The new rear wing. We're getting away from the spoiler. We'll have a new rear wing on the back of this car. Side plates to make side force, and a gurney lip to put all the downforce in the back of these cars that these drivers hope they'll need.
All right, thanks, Jeff. If that's the car of the future, I don't want to see the gas prices of the future. Our crew will have their eyes on every car and every driver tonight, as they always do. We're going to head back to the track now for our Fox Pit Watch. Steve Burns, Dick Berggren, Matt Yoakum, all year long. These guys have pounded the pavement to cover stories, bring you up to date. We certainly appreciate that. Steve Burns, let's start with you with the latest on upset pole sitter. Boris said, not that he's upset, but it's a bit of an upset that he's sitting on the pole. Right, Steve?
Very much so, Chris, and what a great story. Now, Boris said is known for his wild haircut, but primarily for winning road races all over the world. At age 43, he said, I'm tired of hearing I'm too old, too poor, or too tall to break into NASCAR. So here he is on the pole in a car that was bought from Roush Racing. Greg Biffle drove this car in the Budweiser shootout back in February. Now, Boris said, I fully expect to get drop-kicked in the first 200 miles of this race, but I'm going to use that for experience. I want to be there at the end and race to the front if I can. To Matt Yoakum.
Kevin Harvick is loaded with motivation tonight. He told me this morning that he is just flat torqued up, that he's never won a restrictor plate race. Yes, he's come close here twice, finishing 4th, and he finished 2nd at Talladega. He had a great car in the Daytona 500, but he had carburetor issues, had to swap it out, but he fought his way back to 14. He told me this car tonight, although he starts 32nd, is extremely fast, and better yet, it really turns well. Handling will be such a key tonight, and he feels like he's got a great handling race car. To the editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dr. Dick Berggren.
Thank you, Matty. Last July here at Daytona, Tony Stewart put one on him. He not only won the pole for this race, race, he led all but 9 laps, and in a dominating victory, drove into victory lane when it was all done and over with. Tonight, he's got that same car, and he's going to start on the outside of the front row with it. Tonight, Stewart is looking for a turnaround. In the last 5 weeks, he has had 4 finishes, 25th or worse. He is at the track where he has had so much success, in a car that he has had so much success in. Tonight could be Tony Stewart's night. Right, guys? Yeah! All right, Chris.
All right, thanks, Dick. Got everybody fired up. Tony Stewart, his shoulder is 100% healed. Don't ask him about it. He's fine. How about you get stars like Gordon, right, Dale Earnhardt Jr., a guy like Boris said, kind of an everyday regular driver. Well, a little better than that. But on the pole, what should we expect tonight?
The start of this race is going to be kind of tricky. You got Boris Said up there in the front. We've been talking about it. It's not that he's inexperienced, but this is in a very strange position for him. And you also got David Stremme starting there third, right behind Boris Said. So for me, Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon, I think they're going to gang up on the outside and try to get away from these guys real quick and try to kick them to the back side of this.
Right out of the equation of being able to win this race. Another thing, we talked about pit stops a while ago. Look at this. This was during green flag stops last night about lap 50. Almost looked like a small version of the Keystone Cops. This can take you right out of the equation. All types of action, penalties by drivers and by crews. Be aggressive, but not too aggressive, because this happened last night in the Busch race with Carl Edwards getting into Michael Waltrip. And if you're not careful, too aggressive, you'll be in the penalty box, and NASCAR is not afraid to use it here at Daytona.
Like a lot of other things, a little bit of bumping is good, a whole lot will get you in trouble.
Chad Knaus and Robbie Reiser, two of the key captains on pit road, and Reiser's car may have an issue. Steve?
Mike, there's a little concern down in this pit area when Matt Kenseth went out onto the racetrack and started to accelerate. He reported to Robbie Reiser that he felt like there may be an issue with the carburetor. Right now, the team sounds pretty calm. Matt Kenseth and Robbie Reiser both composed, but there is some concern about a carburetor issue on that 17 of Matt Kenseth.
Number 55, Napa Auto Parts Dodge. Starting.
It's a 190-mile-an-hour traffic jam that it's like being inside a professional game of chess with 43 players.
You're in awe of the banking of the corners, the speed of the cars, and then how close we are. I mean, we're inches off of one another, doing 190 miles an hour, you know, drafting back and forth.
Constant action. There's something going on every lap. 2 wide, 3 wide. The draft is so important. Handling is so important. You see cars that can't handle well. You see them that do handle well. A lot of side-by-side action.
It's the track for NASCAR at Daytona. I was lucky enough to win the 500, and hopefully I can go down and win the 400.
One of the things that the guys didn't talk about is how bumpy or how rough this track is. Got a lot of swales in it. Those dark black places in the racetrack, those are skid marks. The car's tires skipping along. It makes those real dark places on the racetrack. Zippity-doo-dah, Dave.
Sure, this is 100 miles shorter than the February race, and yes, it's run at night. But how else is racing here in July different?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the heat. Of course, at night, I mean, we're not going to have that beaming sun like we have in February, but the track's been laying here in the sun all day long. That asphalt is hot, and it is slick.
David Pearson, 5 victories in what was then the Firecracker 400. Cale Yarborough won this race 4 times. Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Richard Petty, and Fireball Roberts 3 times each. Who will etch their name into the record book tonight?
DW, for the final time, NASCAR on Fox 2006, but it's going to be a big old Saturday night party. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
It's amazing. Every time I say that, they take off.
Watch that silver number 40.
I think he chose to go there. You can see right there, had enough room. He stayed off of Morris pretty good, but he did go below. But if you notice, he slows down. The guys behind him back up a little bit, and he lets him back in front of him. No harm, no foul.
And that will save him having to make a drive down pit road at just 55 miles an hour in penalty. Kyle Busch and Mike Wallace coming up the outside in that pack in the outside ball on the back straightaway.
Dadgum.
Have you ever?
Look at that. There it is. Does it have boogity, boogity, boogity written on it? Surely not.
Boy, Greg Biffle and Scott Riggs getting together off the corner.
And that's classic Daytona exit of the corner. The car just throws to the outside.
All of our Fox commentators had a swing at favorite memories of 2006. We'll show you some of them this evening, beginning with Chris Myers.
First half of the season, it's hard not to notice Tony Stewart's toughness. Breaks his shoulder blade at the Coke 600. Needs a relief driver in the next race. The race after that goes 500 miles in Pocono. Then at Michigan, his car wrecks early. He's out there hammering away, working on it. And that's a mentality, a warrior mentality that any athlete in any sport could appreciate.
Jeff Burton spins. And recovers.
But the good news is, as you can see right there, Darrell, you've talked about this a lot. There should be no grass on the inside of a racetrack. If there had been grass there, it would not stop till he hit the inside wall.
It wouldn't have stopped when he quit flipping.
Left front's down, but watch the orange 31.
Gotta believe he might have gotten a little tap over there. Let's see if we can find out here.
It's almost like he checked up a little bit as he was running up on Dave Blaney in the 22 car.
Yeah, Casey Mears was just coming, and Jeff Burton there in the 31 had to check up a tad, and he got bumped.
Oh, Darrell. Deja vu all over again. Jeff Burton and Casey Mears.
Yeah, same two cars that had trouble in practice.
In this case, Burton's trying to stay off Dave Blaney. And Casey Mears gets in the back of him. Look what happened in practice when Jeff Burton cuts down a tire. Look who the other two cars involved are.
And again, everyone was a victim in this situation right here. This was in the very final practice. Jeff Burton cut a tire down. Casey Mears nowhere to go. Dave Blaney, there was nowhere to go for him. Ran into the back of J.J. Yaley.
And that's his backup car that he's in right now.
Caution is out for the second time tonight.
Of the United States, Dick Cheney, and you saw him address the crowd. Thanks for being with us, sir. Nice to see you're in good health.
Good to be here. Yeah, the doc signed off on me for another period of time here, so.
All right, so good enough to attend the race. You ever address a crowd that big before?
I was just thinking 140, 150,000 people. That's probably the biggest crowd I ever spoke to live. Yeah.
And your first, you've been to the track before, but your first
it's the first time I've been, to a live NASCAR event. I watched it, of course, on television like everybody has, but it is an awesome, awesome undertaking. Just the sheer size of the crowd, the energy, the complexity of what goes on in the pits and with the teams and the crews. There's so much to learn about the intricacies of the sport. It's really something.
Well, no, right now we're getting ready to go back to a green, so you get an opportunity to see what a restart's going to look like, at least from the Hollywood Hotel. But earlier today we were talking about cars, and you shared something with me I thought was really kind of unique. You haven't driven a car in 7 years yourself.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's the morning that the president, then governor, announced that I was going to be his running mate. The Secret Service showed up outside my door, and I haven't driven since. They take over. They do it for security reasons, and so it's understandable, but it's very frustrating. I mean,
now Air Force Two, you get to travel around. What was your first car, Vice President?
First car I ever owned was a 1949 Chevrolet, and I drove it for a few months, and then the engine blew up on me, and I got $25 for the radio.
You've done well since. You must be overwhelmed by the support of patriotism at an event like this, especially around the 4th of July holiday weekend.
It is. It's a remarkable period of time. I got to spend some time with the troops today. One of the great things about NASCAR is the extent to which the drivers and the crews and the owners have been involved in supporting the troops. A lot of the drivers have been to Afghanistan, Iraq, been out and seen the troops in the field. I know oftentimes they get to Walter Reed or Bethesda, where the guys are that have been wounded and coming home, and that's deeply, deeply appreciated. There's a symbiotic relationship, a mutual admiration society between the young men and women in our military who love NASCAR and NASCAR who pays the support and the loyalty.
And speaking of that, I had an opportunity to watch you. You got an opportunity to meet Ken Schrader, who drives the Air Force car, and I mean, he's quite a character.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of characters in this business.
What did some of the drivers say to you when you got to meet them? They ask any tough questions?
Well, no political questions. They were all very nice. I got to go to the drivers' meeting at the beginning of before the race today, and then visited with the service-sponsored cars, especially Army, the National Guard, and the Air Force. And but they're down-home people. I mean, they're very straightforward, no pretense. Everybody's measured by how they perform out here on the track. So it's a meritocracy.
And nearby Cape Canaveral, the space shuttle delayed until tomorrow because of weather. I guess you were going to go see.
Yeah, we were there, went down, wanted to see the launch. I saw launch 20 years ago, but they were going to launch today. They got a last-minute bad call on the weather, but they'll try again tomorrow.
And I know you have work in Washington. A political answer, I expect. Who you're rooting for to win tonight's race as you watch?
I'm going to be a nonpartisan.
Good answer.
I'm not going to get into that.
All right, well, it was a pleasure having you here, and thanks very much for stopping by.
Good to see you guys. Enjoy the show.
Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike upstairs.
The great broadcaster Ken Squire often described these drivers as common men doing uncommon things, like running around here at 190 miles an hour, closer together than most people apart, as now Jeff Gordon is trying to fend off Matt Kenseth, Gordon's teammate Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, and Brian Vickers. That's all 4 Hendrick cars.
Emotion.
He's not happy with Matt Kenseth.
And we saw it, guys being guys. Hey, push me again.
I wasn't happy about it, and I showed it to him after the race.
And girls being girls, too. Hey, children, behave.
All part of the drama of NASCAR Nextel Cup racing, the season at its midpoint, moving into the sprint to the chase for the Nextel Cup. Which 10 drivers will have the chance?
There comes Mark Martin, Elliott Sadler. He gets woed down. Has to be at 55 miles per hour by the time they're at that cone right there.
Jeff Gordon's in, so is Vickers, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, and more. Steve.
Mark Martin making his 43rd point start here at Daytona, says his race car is just a little bit tight. Todd Ziegler and Jake Simoner are the tire changers. No other adjustments to the number 6, Dick Berggren.
Moments ago, Tony Stewart told his crew, we got us a piece for tonight. We got something good, end quote. Matt.
Dick, we've already made a chassis adjustment and track bar adjustment on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. His car way too tight. Not bad. You did see him smoke the tires on entry.
Clint Boyer, Kenny Schrader, and Joe Nemechek also stopped on that lap. Here comes Carl Edwards and 6 more behind him. These are scheduled green flag stops. Kenseth's in. Biffle is also in. McMurray along with Harvick and
miles per hour, and try to get down to 55 miles per hour. You can see pretty much everyone except Tony Stewart locking the brakes up. You've got to make the commitment cone, and right there you've got to be to 55 miles per hour.
One thing you got to be careful of when you're coming down there smoking that right front like that is you don't blow it out and tear the fender off the car. So got to use a little bit better judgment getting on pit road.
Now this is a battle for the lead right here. Robbie Gordon in the 7, Dale Jarrett in the 88, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. This is a scheduled stop for him. These are all scheduled. Michael Waltrip, the 55 car, 2-time Daytona 500 winner, on pit road with a lot of damage.
Pancaked that right side and looked like he did a lot of damage.
The track stays green as Waltrip pits.
See what happens here. He's going down. Turn 4 just got a little too high.
And it's almost like he just couldn't get it off there.
She just took off. It's really bumpy. I tell you, this track has got a lot of big bumps in it. I don't mean the kind that jar you. I'm just talking about the kind that are kind of little swells in the asphalt.
And you know, if you remember, Darrell, Michael was one of the cars that pitted early before the last set of green stops. Thought he maybe had somewhat of a tire problem.
On the apron coming to pit road in that Gins Resort car, the paint job designed by 3 youngsters at the Boggy Creek Gang camp, one of the Paul Newman Hole in the Wall Gang camps here in Florida.
I think he's got the look of a car that needs some gas.
Definitely, he's either out of power or out of fuel one, that's for sure.
Again, let's look at speeds in the Mark Martin, Kyle Busch. Little dust up there. See what we can see.
Kyle's got a nice run underneath the Mark right here, and he just
He didn't actually get in the back of Mark Martin. He just got very loose off turn.
No, he never touched it. He just kind of was bobbing and weaving off turn 4 there.
Sure looked close. Mark lost a little bit of speed coming off that corner. Kyle Busch was right there.
But you know, we're hearing more and more cars from our guys down in the pits complain about handling problems. They never had any practice this week in these conditions at full nighttime with the track.
Hi there, I did not see you there. I'm just hanging out in my shower watching clips of myself on my Sprint phone for my new movie, Talladega Nights. Woo! Woo! Woo!
Trouble getting into their pits on this stop.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many cars on pit road at one time under caution. We had over 20-something cars, but I'm not surprised that everyone pitted that time, at least for fuel. Reason being, they can make it to the end on one more stop.
Yeah, I noticed the 17. I mean, he does such a great job of getting into his pit box, but then he had that issue coming out.
Robbie Reiser not happy. Steve?
No, he's not, and neither is Matt Kenseth. They're going to have to come back down pit road. They think they have some fender damage, Mike Joy. And also, again, there was a lack of communication between Robbie and Matt. Matt wanted Robbie to clear him off of pit road, and he misunderstood him.
I mean, to me, that needs to be standard procedure, especially when you've got that many cars on pit road and that driver's in there and his peripheral vision is not very big.
Well, if Matt Kenseth's the only car that has to come back to pit road, he will restart 37.
37 cars still on the lead lap, so when they finished up the stop, he started to pull away. I automatically think he gets into, I think, the 38 car of Elliott Sadler, so it did damage to his car as well as the 38 car. So 38 car starts out, and he gets caught up in another melee between the 1 and the 16. So a lot of chaos right now on pit road, guys. And Larry McReynolds, you know that's not what you want.
There appears to be some damage to Sadler's car. This has been a Visa race break. No matter what it takes, life takes Visa.
All I know is all 3 cars had trouble. They're all yellow.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and J.J. Ailey did not pit, so they...
Yeah, McQueen, to get me into all them big parties and find me a shack in the hills and... Hey, I can't see!
Actually, you need a different kind of agent. Maybe a good neighbor.
Call a State Farm agent and get the good neighbor service you can count on anytime, anywhere. And check out Cars, the new Disney Pixar film, only in theaters.
I feel bad.
Ricky Bobby is not a thinker. Ricky Bobby is a driver.
I'm gonna win.
I am coming for you, Ricky Bobby.
You sound like a dog with peanut butter on the roof of your mouth.
From the guys who brought you Anchorman.
Okay, I'm starting to get sick.
Talladega Nights, the ballad of Ricky Bobby.
You're making me hot.
Getting a little awkward. Definitely inappropriate in front of the kids.
We got company.
Stunt double.
Action. See ya.
Clips of myself on my Sprint phone from my new movie, Talladega Nights. I don't know how this devil box works, but it scares the bejeebers out of me.
Philip! Philip, get in here! Make it stop! Make it stop, but yet I'm drawn to it.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, this race may well be won, what just happened on pit road, because we definitely had some teams roll the dice and went with just 2 tires. I'm pretty sure Greg Biffle in that 16 car, Doug Richard, looks like he rolled the dice here. Probably going to be less than 10 laps to go. May not be a bad move.
26 did too, I believe, Larry.
I think we had several cars that did that.
They took
Yaley,
2 tires.
Hamlin as well. Big gains on pit road.
No more laps than we got to go. That's a great call, I think
so.
The fight for 4th place was very hotly contested. Watch the 48 of Jimmy Johnson.
Now, there's cars all around. You get the 2 here. He's moving air. 38's back here looking for which way am I going to go, and it gets Jimmy loose right there, and he can't catch it. And poor Bobby Labonte is on the outside going down into turn 3, and they get hooked together.
And as we have well made note, that's at over 180 miles per hour you're turning down in that corner.
And what's happening right there is just too many cars moving around. The 2, the 38, and it got Jimmy loose. And unfortunately, Bobby was on the outside of him. Bobby isn't there. Jimmy may have not even hit the wall. He may have gone up and kissed it. But with Bobby there, you see it.
Johnson's car is now under repair on pit road. And Labonte is being pushed back to the garage area.
Tell you what, we had about 34, 35 cars on pit road at one time again, because we still have 38 cars still on the lead lap. Tony Stewart, Greg Zipadelli, those guys went with 4 tires. They dropped the jack.
Well, Kevin Harvick's backing up because he went over the line.
Well, he was backing up because he couldn't turn out because Dale Jarrett was in front of him.
I think he slid over the line to start with. They backed him up, and then 88 came in front of him.
Martin Truex Jr. will get the free pass and will be back on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson is back on track. Let's ride along with Jimmy Johnson as he has a whale of a wreck.
Inside, in and out, in and out, in and out. Out. They're low, they're low. Inside, inside, inside. Out.
Pretty hard.
More tires here.
He's going to restart this race back in 37th position, still on the lead lap.
I'll say one thing about him. In a wreck like that, he had the presence of mind to keep the wheels kind of turned to the right a little bit so the car didn't come down in front of all the oncoming traffic.
11 laps to go. Bobby Labonte's night is over, dejectedly in the garage after being caught up in Jimmy Johnson's crash.
The Pepsi 400 on Fox is sponsored by Ford, Bold Moves, by DLP Picture Technology from Texas Instruments, by Nextel. Get closer to the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series with Nextel from Sprint. And by Pepsi Racing. Visit dailyplanet.com/Pepsi400 to learn more about the ultimate racing rewards from Pepsi.
Disappointing, you know.
Here we go, boys.
Got the big one off of turn 2 back here, guys.
Well,
we'll get back to Bobby Labonte in a moment as teammates Mark Martin and Greg Biffle have crashed.
Actually, it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be when it started. There were a lot of cars around, but only 2 really got involved.
A lot of right front corner damage.
Whoa, there's another one. I didn't see him.
And
Roger, we got no brakes. Right front's gone, all that.
Boy, Hendrick Motorsports' fortunes turned sour in a hurry. 48 on the last caution, 24 on this. We heard him say no brakes.
And a lot of smoke from Carl Edwards' car. Big tire up there as well on the 99. Let's see what happened here, Darrell.
Well, let's see. We're up in the middle here.
Bunch of 3 wide.
The
16 of Biffle and Gordon coming.
Oh, Yaley gets into the back of the 16.
Just caught him in that left rear quarter panel. Nowhere for Mark Martin to go. But look at Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer just barely getting by, as well as Ryan Newman.
And it's so hard to know for sure. Did Yaley get into him because he ran into him, or did he cut down in front of him, or did he lift a little bit coming off of that corner?
Let's see if the aerial view shows. Does Biffle turn down, or does Yaley come up, or is it a combination of both?
Pretty sure Yaley gets up right about here. This car on the bottom. And then he gets the 24 coming there. He's just in that pocket where you don't have a lot of air blowing on your car.
Boys, I call it hard racing with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't put any blame on anybody. That's just we saw it. You see that coming at the end of this race.
The simple explanation of whether Biffle turned down or Yaley came up, the simple explanation is the hole closed up.
Yeah, you see it right here from another angle. Oh, you see what happens? Biffle got loose. Biffle's car was getting loose, and that's why Yaley got into him.
And just nowhere for Mark Martin to go at all in the 6.
I love it. We get so many great looks, and you first see this, and then you see that, and then you see the real deal. And Biffle's car just stepped out on him, and that's why Yaley got into him. Watch. It's hard to tell from this angle, but see Biffle's car start to get a little loose right there?
Definitely, you would have to say J.J. Yaley was at no fault whatsoever.
No, J.J. didn't do anything. He did
not at all.
Right there, you see it perfectly clear. And Jeff Gordon, again, kind of like the 43 car was, just on the outside of a car at the wrong time.
And Darrell, that's probably why when you look at some of these cars that were involved, I question the 4 tires that late in the race put you that far back.
The best you can. We got wrecked off of 2, guys.
Well, I don't know how many tires Tony Stewart took.
But he's went to the front.
It didn't hurt him.
No, it has not. That's exactly right.
Yeah, John, that's a hard lick for Jeff Gordon.
Gordon said the right front was done, and he had no brakes. He has climbed out of the Pepsi DuPont Chevrolet.
And Denny Hamlin, who is trying to get back into the top 10, Jeff knocked him out last week. He's sitting there in 10th place right now, so there could be a little movement around the bottom of the bottom 10 guys
right now,
in the chase.
You're right, Darrell. Hamlin will move back into the top 10, displacing last week's winner in California, Jeff Gordon. Sorry to interrupt Bobby Labonte explaining what happened to him in the wreck with Jimmy Johnson. But now let's go back to the garage and Steve.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate it. Bobby, again, I was asking you how disappointed after a great team effort to be here in the garage.
Still disappointing since the first time you talked to me a while ago. It's just very frustrating. You know, the guys in the Cheerios, Betty Crocker Dodge, did a great job. You know, we didn't qualify that good, but we knew Friday afternoon we had a good race car, and or Thursday afternoon we had a good race car. You know, just ran consistent and steady, and didn't do anything wrong. We don't think any throughout there. And then we just got, up there close to the wall in turn 3. I'm not sure what happened below us, but, obviously the 48 car was there, and I don't know if somebody got into him or got him loose. But we collected the wall, and, he collected us, and, that was our night. But the guys did a good job, a great job. The guys in the Fab Shop were great. We're getting there, It's just that stuff like this really makes it hard on us.
Thanks for your patience. Thanks, Bobby.
Remember what I always tell you? You better reach up there and pull those belt tight one more time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Casey Mears 4th, Kurt Busch 5th, Jamie McMurray 6th. They will green flag this race with 3 laps to go. Now, they were telling Boris Said that Tony Stewart was laying back. I don't know. Stewart's got to go a ways to catch Boris Said now.
That's going to be borderline on that 38 car. He was definitely below the yellow line.
He was below the yellow line. He would like to give that spot back, Larry, but he can't.
No, they're breathing down his neck.
Boris Said comes off turn 2 with a big lead, but that's not good.
If somebody jumps out, here you go. This is what's good right here. If these guys behind you will start racing.
But I guarantee you, Tony Stewart in that 20 car, he knows he can't get far off the bottom, but he's going to have to go to the top if he wants to go around Boris Said. Boris puts a block on him. There comes Kyle Busch in the 5 to the bottom. He's going to push Boris.
2 laps to go.
Now here's where Boris might be a little bit nervous.
Said and Stewart side by side. Stewart has help.
2 to go.
How would you like to be used to turning off into the infield right down there, but you're running 190 mile an hour and you can't?
Said slips to 3rd. The glass slipper almost fit.
Listen, he has got his hands full. There's no question about that. That car, we know, it's all over the place.
But here comes Kyle Busch's brother, Kurt Busch, up there to push his brother, the 5 car, Kyle.
Watch Boris's car. He just wants to wheel his walk up the racetrack with him. He's just chasing it. He doesn't need anybody up behind him.
The blood is thicker than water, but most brothers in racing would rather beat their own brother than anybody else. How about the Busch brothers?
Well, we're going to find out here, boys. It's 1 to go, and the Busch boys are in hot pursuit.
And here comes Matt Kenseth in that 17 car on the high side. He's getting help from his teammate McMurray in the 26.
Kenseth has never won here, but he's taking the long way around on the outside.
Now just remember, it gets really tense coming down the back right here. You start blocking.
3 in turn 3. Caution is out.
Caution is out. Will we go to overtime, or will the checkered flag wave?
That's it. We were in a white flag lap.
We took the white flag. We took the white flag.
The field is frozen at the moment of caution. The yellow flag waves as they come toward the finish line. Tony Stewart. And the Home Depot Chevrolet will score the second win of 2006 and the 26th career victory for Stewart.
But I'm going to tell you what, regardless of the circumstances, the caution laps that were there, the race ended under caution, how about Boris said? Sat on the pole, a top 5 finish, and a great call by Frank Stoddard, his crew chief.
Wasn't it Frank Stoddard that made him write a new rule in the All-Star race?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that when he pitted and just crossed the line and took the lead?
Better to be a rule maker than a rule breaker.
And I think this should help them sell more cases now.
And run more races. You got to hand it to Stewart. Starting Thursday night here, when he thoroughly dominated the International Race of Champions, putting on a driving clinic on the infield road course. And he ran last night's Busch Series race. And here he is going to victory lane for the second time this weekend.
It appears to me the more he races, the better he gets. And I tell you, I saw him get in that car before the race started. We had a camera on him, and he was grimacing getting down in that race car. It's been 3 hot nights here, guys.
Now let me see, was it not about a year ago, this is where Tony Stewart started climbing fences?
As a matter of fact, it was. Carl Edwards sped past the whole pack at the start-finish line, and he has been invited to a discussion with the NASCAR officials.
I think he was trying to stay on the lead lap, what he was trying to do. But you can't, you got to run pace. The field is frozen, so it wasn't doing any good.
I'll tell you somebody else that's going to enjoy this night. Matt Kenseth unofficially finishes 6th, and unofficially that will put him within 10 points of points leader Jimmy Johnson, who had a rough night in that 48 car.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon finished 40th, knocked him back out of the top 10.
Tony Stewart is becoming the master of plate racing, restrictor plate racing at Daytona and Talladega. And I like this. Window net down, driver's side to salute the crowd as he comes to the flag stand.
Yeah, I don't believe we're going to see any fence climbing tonight. That wing might be all right, but I don't think I'd want to test it. Give me the flag like I used to do back on the dirt tracks in Indiana.
I think he might come out, Darrell.
Think he's going
He's coming out.
Oh, well. He's got a lot of backups to come over here and help him. Here comes the whole team.
I watched him swing that hammer about 2 weeks ago at Michigan.
They built that fence for the same reason there are mountains, to climb.
Here he goes. I just see him look up and say, how high is this fence anyway?
He scaled that thing pretty rapidly.
Well, he did. That's what winning will do for you.
Tony Stewart climbs the fence and captures the flag.
Yes. Nice job, buddy. The smoker.
That is his signature salute to the fans of this sport.
And I think there's a lot of reasons he's happy about this right here, because when you look back at his last 6 races, he has only had 1 top 10 finish.
Well, and Larry, think about this. He's won 4 of the next 6 races, and counting tonight. Last year he won 4 of the last 6 races, counting tonight. So this is his time, baby. And he's over in the crowd.
He's in amongst them.
Now I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
Hey, this